Hello, and welcome to Does It Resonate with You? The thought-provoking conversation.
Well, you know.
Cool. It's kind of like old show, new show.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Okay.
Mercury is in retrograde.
No, I did it myself on purpose.
Oh.
Like yesterday, I didn't pull the car in far enough to suit my husband because I didn't turn the little sensors red. So I turned the car back on and I put it in drive. And then I kept on driving until the stuff that is in front of the car started to tip over. And he said, "Did you do that on purpose?" I said, "Yeah." Just is what it is. I am a disagreeable sort.
Yeah. Coventina says hi. Hi, yeah. Coventina.
She's so happy she's back. She's back and able to listen live.
Yes, welcome back.
Yay.
So, well, she went to Scamania, so I think she had a good time for the most part. Anyway, all right. So I rather like this topic, the paradoxes that we all notice them. We all point them out. They are all over the show because I've been listening to episodes of the show over the last month or so. Which really reminds me that nearly every show we always say we're going to do something and then we never do it. I mean, we just never do it. So, anyway. So, John picked one. So we're going to let you start with your, what you call a paradox.
Okay. So, as we are spiritual beings, one of the mantras or one of the ways of handling, of being is to remember to be and not do, right? But part of our role here is to, spread the light, to, bring others into the light, to let your light shine. And that sounds to me like a lot of doing. So part of my presence here is just to be and not do. And part of my presence here is to do and do lots. And so there's a tension there. I don't know if it's a paradox, but there's a tension between just be and get your ass in gear and do.
So the second one is a choice, right? Second one is just a choice. But I would start with the very first thing is we are humans. We're not, we're humans with a soul, not souls with a human, right? So we're humans. And our role here is to experience individuality. Somebody told you that your role is to spread the light and share the light and do all that. Somebody told you that, right? And you believed them, and that's a choice. That's your choice. That's free will. We talk about free will. I struggle with this only because I feel like there's a lot of manifesting teachers out there that want to tell you to wish things into being, and they just happen, and that's just simply not the truth.
Right. I agree with that.
And then, of course, there's Metatron, who says, John, if you really were to look at your list of things to do, there are a lot of things that you do because you are attracted to shiny objects.
That is true. Thank you for that reminder. I have a funny story on that, if you want to hear it in a few minutes.
No, you can tell it.
Okay, so I'm listening to the teachings of Abraham. And they have they have the list in one of their books. They have a list of 22 things to help you manifest and help you along that path. And there's this thing called the placemat method. And so what Esther apparently was a list maker like I am, and her list was getting longer and longer and longer and longer. And finally Abraham said, okay, stop. Take a piece of paper, a placemat, write down everything you're actually going to do today. And she does. And the other column, she said, and then they said, title it Things Esther Needs to Do. In the other column, title it Things the Universe Will Do. and they said, put everything else on that list. I'm like, that's cool. That's very cool. I was very, that for me was like, I do a lot. I have a lot of lists of stuff that'll never get done. And if I look at it, it's overbearing. But if I really am thinking about it, I can offload that to the universe and just say, that's not what I need to do today.
Or you can offload it, just offload it.
hmm I was going to say, how many of those things do you feel obligated to do? Like, well, I have to do this.
Well, okay, here's an example.
And how many of it is like, doing this thing would bring me joy? Because I'm hearing you like, I have all this stuff to do and it feels like a burden and it feels like, ugh, I don't want to do it. So if it feels like, ugh, I'm sludging through these things that I have to do, then you're not following your joy. You're not doing what your soul is here to do.
Now it's going to go into
doesn't necessarily equal like hard things that you have to do. It shouldn't be a burden doing. If you're following your joy and following your soul, doing is just, I get to do XYZ to me.
Yeah, I guess the burdensome stuff is like, I told the client I would do this. Now I got to go do it because they paid me to do it. Like, well, I should probably.
Well, that's business, though.
I know, but that's where you look at my list.
You know what? Yeah, but then you aren't going to like this one. It's
Bring
the
it
wrong
on.
work.
I got a thick skin.
It's the wrong work.
Yeah, I was just going to say, why are you offering that?
Joy. Right.
Yeah, why are you offering that? Because I've done that.
Most of the sludging through is stuff that I've already decided I'm not going to do this again. I'm going to finish this one up and I'm done. So to your point, yes, I've used that.
Well, that's good. So then you need, what you need to do then is celebrate when you cross it off the list, right? And offer gratitude that was the last one.
Oh, lovely. Yes, I will. I absolutely will.
Energy. Because never forget that if you create the energy of obligation, what is the polarity of obligation? Freedom.
Oh, yes. Okay. Right.
And so if you create the energy of obligation, what do you do to freedom?
You squash it
out. Right. So if you have made a conscious decision that this is going to be the last time you do this, I mean, I had to make friends with doing tax returns because I don't love it so much anymore. But I do it. There's other reasons I do it. And I do it, one of the reasons I do some of the ones I do is so that I can do it for the people that I really care about. And so I really had to look at that as like an exchange. Because if I didn't do that, I could not afford what I get paid to do the ones for the people that I really care about is not enough to cover the software. And I'm not about to pay people to do their taxes. So because I get to use this software and I'm allowed to use it for whatever, and I hate that word allowed but he lets me, whatever. He knows I'm doing it, right? And he's cool with it. It's not, I don't feel like the tax returns I do for his business are an obligation. I feel like they're a responsibility. And so sometimes if you can shift what you're looking at from, is it an obligation or a responsibility is paying your mortgage? A responsibility is doing something for a client that you agreed to do.
Yep.
Right?
Agreed.
And so if you can just shift your thinking from obligation to responsibility, and then how do you feel when you've lived up to your responsibilities?
I rocked. I got it done. I did a good job and they're happy. Yep.
And how do you feel when you've met an obligation? Oh, I'm so glad that's over.
Okay. I see the difference. Yeah, that's good.
Right?
Yep.
So, I mean, and Melanie, you brought up another one and I'll let you have it in just a second, but I mean, that's what we're all talking about. Reframing, reframe the way we're looking at it, reframe the way we see it. And the truth is, in order to accomplish anything, you've got to move energy. So the act of shifting the way you see something or reframing it is moving energy, if that makes sense.
And from a business perspective, moving forward, if you don't want to do those things anymore, like this is what I do. The things that I could do, but I really like I don't want to go through that drudgery again. And I mean, yeah, shift the perspective that if I just don't want to do it, charge a ridiculous amount of money.
I got a funny story
And
about that too.
and then like
Boy.
if they do end up doing it, cool. I get paid all this
That's my
money.
story. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I had a
Yeah.
website. I really love doing websites, but I started
Mhm.
interacting with the client around when I was doing the quoting, and he was just like nitpicking and nitpicking and nitpicking about, you know, this and this and this little thing, and I hadn't even quoted the thing yet. And I'm like, oh man, this guy's a piece of work. So I literally quadrupled my quote,
Good.
and like 2 days later, approved. I'm like,
Good.
I'm in. I'll do it for that.
Good. Yeah.
Oh, see, now is that okay, so because I have a similar come the last weekend or the second week in April, people would call me, can you review my tax return? Sure, $500 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's all, $500 an hour. Why?
Mhm.
Not because I wanted the $500 an hour. I did not want to
Yeah.
do that. I didn't want to do it.
Right.
I just didn't want to do it. It actually worked. Nobody ever paid us.
Hmm.
And one time only, somebody brought in a box of receipts, and I said, bookkeeping is $180 an hour on top of the tax prep fee. Only one time somebody took us up on it. But most of the people would take it home,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and bring it back.
Hire a college
Oh.
kid for that.
So if you quoted triple, I wonder if at somewhere in your ideas or calculations, are you actually charging what you're worth?
Right.
That kind of there was like a, you know, a light bulb that went on. And like, if that wasn't even blinked at,
Mm-hmm.
no, I was not charging. And at that point I started charging more for the websites I wanted to do. Everything
Good.
went up, you know, not quite quadruple, but I did go up.
Good.
I think, yeah, I mean, I think that's a big, you know, well, we've heard the story about me and the taxpayers not wanting me to be the one to finish because I would always give a discount.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Yep.
also how John Hewitt, who created Liberty Tax and Jackson Hewitt, said if 8% of the people don't complain that your prices are too high, then your prices are too low.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
I've heard
Right.
that too. That's really, I'd forgotten that metric, and that's a really good thing.
And it
Really good.
really especially applies in something like what you do, you know, the tech work, and does it apply as much in the spiritual world? I don't know. Um we were talking about it last night in Dougal Fraser's workshop that I'm in. Like I'm one of these days I'm going to be a genius because I'm in all these workshops. Meanwhile, we'll see what happens. But I'm getting, you know, he's more energy centered, which is just so totally my game, right?
Mhm.
Like, but that's a big struggle for people. How much do I charge? What do I charge? How much do I charge? What if people don't want to pay it? You know, and I do remember like people would walk in with you know, people for I don't know why, but some people don't file their tax returns for like years. I really don't personally understand it, but
Astounding, isn't it? It's astounding.
it is
Wow.
astounding. But they come in with a
Mm.
stack, you know, of stuff, and then a stack of letters, 3-4 years worth of tax returns,
Ooh.
and I would have to always remind the tax preparers and the guy that I work for, like these people are coming in with this stuff. You need to tell them how much it's going to be up front.
Right.
Because
Per
otherwise
year.
you're gonna do all this work and they're gonna say $1,500, that's way too much. And then they're gonna want their stuff and they're gonna want to leave. And there's nothing you can do about that. Like, because it's illegal actually to keep their stuff ransom. You know, tax
Yep.
documents.
Sure.
So
Sure.
it's
Sure. Sure.
actually
Yeah.
illegal. So you know, we all need to make peace with that. And I suppose, you know, there's more paradoxes here as we talk about this. I mean, you're
Mhm.
Mhm.
talking about time, which is energy, which is resources. We're talking about money. And Val and I were just talking on Monday about how tired we are hearing all these ads. Heal your money wound and you'll make your six figures, or heal the witch wound and, you know, Like all these people out there marketing, telling people they're damaged. Here, let me
Mm-hmm.
fix you. And once
Mm-hmm.
I fix you, right, then you'll be able to make all this money. And I just don't really believe that's entirely true.
I think it's multifaceted. I think there's a
It,
lot
it
going
just
Mm-hmm.
on.
it just so is. There's so much, and I just don't think there's one solution that works for every person.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yep. That's a good point.
So
Some people
I
just need a budget.
well, I mean, isn't that the truth? Or sometimes, and it was interesting because Jules said that sometimes he does sessions for people, and if they're entrepreneurs, he goes and looks at their website, he goes and looks at their Facebook page, he goes and looks, if they've got blogs, is the last blog 2 years old? Is if you say you do events, do you have them listed on your website? Is your Facebook page the last post is from 2019? You're not moving any energy, so that's why
Right.
nothing is coming to you, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
you have to move energy to make it work. And what's interesting to me is also this, because I think this plays into this. One of the things that just shows up for me all the time is like, well, I want to do this, but I'm not going to put a scheduler on my website because I have to hook it up to PayPal or Stripe. And I only want the people to Zelle me the money so I don't have to pay. Or I only want to use Calendly, but I only want to use the free version. Or,
Right.
like,
The whiny ones.
well, and
Mm-hmm.
is that a paradox? Like, can you really make money if you have that mindset?
Yeah.
I don't
So
think so.
I think that's cutting off the flow, basically, right?
Right.
Right?
If you're cutting
Right.
off the
Money
flow,
comes and goes. Like that book that I was reading by Ken Honda.
yeah.
Yeah.
It has to leave as much as it's going to come in. That's just that it's going to leave. It's okay.
Yeah.
Because
Right?
otherwise it becomes stagnant. If you're keeping it and you're not giving it out either to Calendly or to the homeless person down the street, it's not leaving you. It has to leave. I have a spreadsheet that I have my budget and I've got all my expenses, and then I have a sheet that has all of my income. And I have in big gold letters on the spreadsheet, thank you, money, for coming into my account on the payments page. And I have a big thing, thank you, money, for leaving my account on the payments page. Be grateful that it's leaving, be grateful that it's coming in. And it has
And
to
then
move because it's an energy.
at tax
It's an
time, the
energy.
tax guy says, "Thank you for keeping track."
Right, exactly. I mean, I'm kind of neurotic like that anyway, but
That's funny.
Well,
you
Man.
I think
have
that
to
you should
keep
be, but
right. But money, I think we have to kind of change our view of money from, and it's kind of literally not even a thing anymore. How many people carry cash? It is a digital transaction now.
oh my
So it's
God,
really
cashless?
just
Are we talking about cash?
no, but I mean, it kind of
You know what? You know what
points
money is?
to it's an energetic exchange. It's no
It
longer a physical
no,
exchange
right.
anymore,
But you know what
really.
money really is? It's a tool.
Right. That's all it is. A
It's a
tool, an
tool.
energetic tool.
That's it. It's a tool. It's got energy. I mean,
Hmm.
because we do exchange it, energetically. Although I wonder about the days when you used to do something for somebody and they gave you a handful of shells. Like,
Yeah.
what did you do with them? But
Or some cows.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. I mean, there's just really like, when I look backwards at times and eras, there's very few that I could go live in.
Hmm. That's
With
yeah.
my
I can see
current sensibilities, like I just
that.
don't see how it could work. But that's just me.
I'm too much of a princess. Like I was saying to John, I have to have my AC. It's 107 here today. I'm too much of a princess not to have the AC.
Oh no, yeah. I mean, ours has been on. I have mine set at 74. It's always at 74. So we've had some days that go under, but I just open the door. I still leave it on, and then if I hear it kick on, then I close the
Yeah.
door and the
Mhm.
window.
Yep.
Like it. But
I
no,
keep
it
mine at
hasn't.
68.
No, that's too cold
Wow.
for me.
Nice and chilly.
Yeah, that's just too. I wouldn't be able to breathe. I would be all dried out from that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I do run humidifiers, mostly for my plants, not me. priorities.
I
what city
wonder
are
if
you
there's
in?
I wonder if there's
I'm in
some kind of
Central
money
Virginia.
situation thing happening with the, that extra 6 degrees of air conditioning. Although when it gets above 90s or close to 100 here, 74 is not cool enough. I have to turn it down.
Yeah.
So maybe that's, but anyway, okay.
Anyway,
to
back to
back to the list, because I do have a few others.
Angie has a good list. Yes.
Yeah, I like this list. And so
Hey, can we do the material versus spiritual wealth paradox?
yeah, I was looking at that one. I was
Because
looking at that
that's. Well, I'll
I mean,
sprinkle in my part of the paradox when appropriate.
Well, I mean, basically, the paradox itself is that some teachings promote detachment from material wealth to attain spiritual growth, while others suggest abundance in the material world can be a sign of spiritual alignment. I mean, wow, right? Like, there's a lot of people in the so-called spiritual world who are told to give up all their worldly belongings and take a vow of poverty and what have
I'll give you specific. Let me give you a specific example for me. When I first did my first vision board, I had a really nice house, a car, some vacations, cleaning service, business coach, and that was my vision board. And as life kind of went along, I kind of felt, you know what? I don't really need that car. No, I don't want that anymore. House, man, I'm good enough where we are. And it kind of felt like all the stuff that I was really focused on, I didn't really want anymore. And I was happier kind of where I was. Now looking at back yet a third time, I'm like, you know what? I am ready for that manifestation to begin. And so now I've kind of taken the other side of it. And so it feels like I kind of oscillate around that, happy where I am, more focused on spiritual growth, and now manifesting some of these physical things would be yes, a yes.
I think it's a balance, right? Like, it's almost an extreme to be like, okay, I'm going to be spiritual now. I'm going to get rid of all my clothes, my shoes, my house, my car. I'm going to get rid of everything. Huh?
Well, what if the attitude is I'm fine the way I
am? Right, exactly.
No, right.
That's what I'm saying.
No, but I'm saying what you're describing is not almost an extreme. That one
is an extreme. Yeah. But then there's other people who are like, I'm spiritual and I'm going to be super abundant and I'm going to bring in all of these amazing things. And I have all of these amazing things because I'm abundant and because I deserve it and because it's inherently mine and blah, blah, blah. How about just being happy with what you have and just being, and things might fall away as they did for you, John, naturally. They're no longer part of your existence. So they're going to naturally fall away. And then when you're ready for them, they're going to come into your existence.
Okay.
They're going to leave your existence and they're going to come into your existence. If you're just living in the now and not worried about, I don't like where I'm at now, I want to be here, whether it's I want to be, have absolutely nothing, or whether it's I want to have all the things. In both thinkings, in both lines of thinking, you're putting your energy elsewhere and not where you are right now.
You're not aligned.
Which I think is where we have to be aligned and centered and content with where we are.
The gratitude element there. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I think that you can be content with where you are and want more.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't mean not want it or not aspire to it. It's more putting all of your energy there.
Right.
And
but if you want a big mansion, you need to actively manifest it. You need that is not going to come to you in a poof.
Right. No, I know, but it's not going to come to you if you're not energetically ready for it. Like John was saying, now he's ready.
Oh no, it can come to you if you're not energetically ready for it. It absolutely can. Absolutely, it happens to people all the time. Half the lottery winners that win big money,
and then they instantly lose it.
Right, they throw it away.
So it can come to you if you're not ready for it. I mean that.
True.
Now, What you have is directly related to whatever you are in alignment with it in this moment. And that means whatever you're taking action towards, right? Like if
Mhm.
you want that big house, that's great. But if you continue to do events where the people don't pay you any money,
Right.
that's out of alignment.
True.
Right.
Yep. Yep.
Or uh, if you want to, and if you want to manifest, I'm really sick of this word manifesting. If you want to
Me
know the
too.
truth,
Me too.
I just feel like people have put too much magic in the word
Mhm.
manifesting. But if you want to manifest a bank account with $1 million in it, and you take your paycheck every week and go to the boat, in
Mhm.
Illinois, it's the casino, right? The boat is the casino. It's got to be on the water. You take that paycheck and go to the boat and blow it, you're not going to manifest that abundance that you're looking for. So
Right.
aligned action, absolutely. But
Mhm.
then there does need to be an element of being okay with what you have.
Right. It's a
Yep.
balance, I think.
So how many pieces of you are there really? Like there's a piece of you that can want that big house. Let's just use the big
Mhm.
house, right?
Yeah.
A piece of you that can want that big house, right? But then there's another piece of you that would dwell in that big house
Right.
and be
Yeah.
sad about. So
Right.
I mean, what do they say? There's at any given moment, there's 10 of us on different
Mhm.
timelines,
Mhm.
right? Like 10,
Yeah.
10 we
10
are
versions.
we are we are on 10 different timelines at any given moment.
Yeah.
So if you spend too much time on the timeline where you already have that,
Mhm.
and you don't focus on what you have right here, you're not going to get there, right? Does
Right.
that make sense
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
follow?
Yep.
Yeah, and I think that's the I think people spend too much time putting their sometimes there's a tendency to put too much of their energy, like you said, in that what it is that they want. It's fine to want the house. I literally manifested this house. I envisioned it. I envisioned me standing in the kitchen and seeing my children and exactly what it looks like. And then I just let it go. And then I was like, okay,
Right, but
and
you
I'm
still had to pay for it.
oh yeah, definitely, definitely. But it's like I manifested it, I worked for it, I did the aligned action, but I didn't put my happiness in it. I wasn't like, I'm
No,
only
right.
going to be
You
happy when I
surrendered.
get that. I was like, I'm happy right here
Mm.
where I
That's
am.
really
Right.
good,
Just
Mel.
trust that it's gonna
You
happen.
saw it, you
Yeah.
aligned with it,
Right.
and you surrendered.
And then you
Hello.
paid
Right.
for it, which is
Right.
Well, I mean, you have
Angie's
to
It's
pay
point.
like
for it.
a
Because
well,
I
yeah.
hear people, I wanna manifest a paid for house.
Like,
Mhm.
good
Well,
luck.
somebody's just gonna come along and give it to you, like, or somebody you love is gonna have to die so you can inherit it. Maybe I don't
Right.
know.
Do
Like
you want
it,
that?
That's possible. There's ways that can happen, but it's
Mhm.
the
right. But
exception,
I
not the
mean,
rule.
that's not really manifesting. I
No.
don't think. But anyway, I want to go back to this for 1 second. Some teachings promote detachment from material wealth to attain spiritual growth. Do you have to detach from material wealth to attain spiritual growth? I don't
That,
think
that
so.
that doesn't resonate
I
with me at all.
I think it depends on what your definition of the word is. Going back to Clinton. So
Wow.
I think you
That's a
have
blast from the past.
I know, right? Um, so what is your definition of attachment? Is it that it's in your physical reality, or is it that I'm so attached to this that if I lose this house, I will die. My world will be
Oh,
over.
right.
You know what I mean? I love my house. I'm attached to it. It is part of me. It is in my physical reality. If it went up in fire tomorrow, I would still be okay. That it wouldn't be the end of my world, right? So I
Okay.
think it depends on what your definition of attachment
So
is.
right. So you're looking at it like you still have it, but
Right.
you have a level of detachment so that
Right.
you weren't devastated if it goes.
Exactly.
So,
Yeah.
and
Like
what I kind of read was that you have to let it go.
Yeah.
Like you have to
Yeah.
take a vow of poverty and give up all your worldly
Which I
goods.
think is
And,
ridiculous. I
right,
think we can have beautiful things. We can have beautiful houses, beautiful cars, all the money, and not be attached to it. It
right.
can be in our physical reality and we're not attached.
Although I will say, so there's the Venerable Bhante Sujatha, who's
Mhm.
a monk from here. We got a wonderful place called the Blue Lotus Temple, and he is a monk. He wanted to be a monk. I mean, he forced his parents to let him be a monk when he was like
Wow.
9,
Wow.
some
Wow.
something of that nature. So of course, given up all of his own worldly goods, but I'm here to tell you that man travels the world.
Yeah.
And he is hosted at in places that you and I would love to be able to stay. You know
Right.
what I mean? So and he does good work, and he, I mean, so is that a level of spiritual enlightenment, or a level of spiritual vibration that you can only get to by giving everything up? Like, I'm not
I
saying
don't
he's
think
better
so.
than us, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not saying he's better than us, and I'm saying that I don't have the energy nor the inclination to do what he does, right?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I think
Well,
we should all just be ourselves.
yeah, and that's the other thing. Okay, so you have a nice big house and you have all these cars and you have this and that. How much time is, and I think this is kind of why those teachings encourage getting rid of physical things, is because maintaining those things does take some time from your day, and does take away some of your attention to where you might not be focusing on your spiritual growth and your evolution.
And
So
then, ooh, this one.
I think
Oh,
that's probably why they do it. So can one
oh
have those
man.
things and also maintain a spiritual presence?
I think Angie wants the floor now.
No, man. What about the cult leaders that have you turn over all of your worldly goods to them, offering you spiritual enlightenment, when in
Don't get me
fact what they're
started on that.
really when in fact what they're really doing is taking all your stuff and
Mhm.
making themselves rich. Like
Right.
like is there a level of, and I don't really want to get into the cult leader. I want to get into the person who's willing to turn that over, who can be convinced, right? Like, what is, John, you're the cult leader. Walk up to Angie and say, "Give me all your worldly goods, and I'll give you spiritual enlightenment." What's going to happen to you?
I'll get a swift kick in the behind if I'm
Yes,
lucky.
if you're lucky, that's all that's going to happen to you, right? Like, it's just not going to happen. However, if you walk up to someone else and play that same song in the same way, they're going to be like, "Wow, that sounds wonderful. And I really need that in my life. And I'm this and I'm that and whatever. Here, take all my stuff." What is that?
It's the whole, if you stand for nothing, you'll fall for anything. Like, they
Hmm.
have no moral compass. They have no
And their BS meter is
spirituality.
broken.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe they're damaged.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
100%.
grasping at anything. I have no idea how to fix my problem. This is the only. I mean, I'll take anything.
And people feel like cult leaders or religious leaders, whatever, whoever, can spot them like a shark in water,
And
and
does
they
that,
will prey on them.
they will. And does that go to like the snake oil thing
Yeah, the
that we were
snake oil
talking
thing.
about a
Yep.
couple weeks ago? The snake oil. I mean, because I look at that guy in Houston with the curly dark hair who gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Mm-hmm.
But he writes some, I've seen some pretty good quotes from this person. And yet, when there's a hurricane that basically devastates his whole town and he's got this humongous mansion, he's got no space for anybody. Like,
Because
hello.
actions speak louder than words. He can parrot exactly what he's said, what he's heard from
Right.
other people, but when it comes down to
He's got
brass
no
tacks,
example. Yeah.
he won't take care of anybody. He won't
No.
act Christ-like.
Now,
He won't take care
I
of the
guess he
poor.
did this last time. From what I understand,
He
he did.
probably felt politically pressured.
Well, yeah, because the guy at the furniture store opened up
Right.
his furniture store and let people come in and stay in
Right.
his furniture store.
Right. Who's
Like,
probably struggling to pay his bills if he's a small business owner, honestly.
yeah. I mean, so
But he opened his doors,
right. So I mean, does there just need to be a level of everybody having permission to be who and what and where they are, and really just try to create a relationship between themselves and the
Yep.
world and the people around them and the work and the requirements that it takes to live as a human being on this world, right? Like, and we talk about manifesting, we talk about choice, and we talk about all these things, but we live in a country where these things are available to us.
Mhm.
I still believe that there is a certain level of privilege that is involved with manifesting that shouldn't be discounted. There are people that live in places and that are in places where they just couldn't do what we do.
That's true.
I mean, there are places where the three of us would be found and rounded up for speaking the way that we speak. Probably me more than the other two of you, but still. So, I mean, it's maybe do we all just need to take a sit back and think about really, truly the things that we're grateful for? Not as a daily necessarily practice. The daily practice is great for I have breath and I woke up and, I have friends or this, but, every once in a while, just to sit and take stock of the things that we are really, truly, driven by and grateful for. And how powerful would that be when it comes to, helping us understand what we shouldn't be attached to.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's see, 37. I'd say we got time for one more.
All right.
If you guys are, we might go over, but we got plenty. We're in good time.
I'm good with going over.
Yeah, and I mean, it's looking at the actual clock. We're in good shape. We didn't start too late or anything today, so.
Free will versus divine plan. My Sunday school got to wrestle with that my entire life. So
same.
Oh my God.
Predestination versus free will. Sorry, trigger words.
Okay, so the belief in free will suggests we have the power to shape our destiny, yet many also believe that everything is part of a divine plan, implying a predetermined path. I mean, there's so much more nuance to that conversation than just those two things.
I know.
Right? Because, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've heard somebody say, well, I just did what Spirit told me to do. Spirit told me to do this. Spirit told me to do that. And you know what I say? Spirit is not the boss of me.
Right.
I'm the boss of me, right? Like, which is not to say I don't listen to the guidance. And it's also not to say that when they say things over and over again, I don't kind of do them. But there's only one that can really get to me like that, to be honest.
Hello, Matthew.
Exactly. So how do we...
let's pull this back to Sunday school a minute. The church I grew up in, it was literally, there is a plan, and we're going to basically, you can thwart the will of God by going directly against it. But if you just kind of hum along, you're just going to be following the divine plan.
Okay.
And I don't think that's how things are at all.
That's what I grew up with too.
Yep.
Yeah. And you have no choice. I grew up with, you have free will, but really you don't. God's running everything. And is it God's will? Is it God's will? Is it God's will?
And that is a bunch of people's way of not taking responsibility for the state of their own life.
Exactly.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. I think
I don't remember Sunday school. I don't.
I do. Awana, Sunday school, Wednesday night Bible study.
I know.
Oh, and then Friday night youth group. I'm not traumatized. But anyway, I think it's a little bit of both personally, because I do believe that I wouldn't call it predestination, but I think that when before we get here, we work it out with our guides.
Mhm.
We work it out with our soul family. Like I chose my ex-husbands, or, I worked with them to, okay, we're going to teach each other these gifts and help each other grow through these, and da da da. My children and I all agreed to be soulmates. But
Well, I don't believe any of that.
I think that, so I think it's like we're on a path, like we set this thing and we're meant to learn. So we agree to learn certain things that our soul needs to evolve. But then when we get down here, we have opportunities to kind of go against that, because there were several times where, like, I heard spirit saying, don't do that. Don't do that. And I was like, I got this. And, I got knocked down, and then, oh, I got it. Don't do it. Knocked down. And then it was just like a Mack truck, several times. So until I learned the lesson, and then it's like, no more Mack trucks are knocking me down. So I don't know. I think
Is that really, or is it just that you learn to follow your own instincts?
right. Well, I was going against my instincts because my gut was telling me, do not do this. But I knew what I was doing.
That's what I'm saying. And then you feel like you got hit by a Mack truck.
Right.
Instead, you've learned to follow your instincts.
Right.
And now
and
you don't get
much
hit
better
by a
now.
Mack truck anymore, right? Like,
Right.
I don't think that's got anything to do with the divine plan. I think that's got to do with you learning to read the energy of your circumstances. And that's the way I feel about it. It doesn't matter if you agree. And it doesn't matter if I agree with you.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But I just don't feel like there's anything that happens on the other side that says, listen, you're going to have to go here. You're going to have to learn this. And by the way, we're not going to tell you what it is you need to learn. You're going to have to figure it out for yourself. And not only that, but you're probably going to have to be traumatized, and it's going to be really hard to figure out. Like, I just don't buy that.
I don't
Good
buy
luck
all
on Earth,
that
young
either.
one.
I don't buy all that either.
I think that okay, so Clementina says, I hear all the time that our soul decides the path when we enter this world. I believe that the soul, as a soul, we choose what we want to experience, the type of energy we want to experience.
Right. Prior to getting here.
Right. Prior, but just the energy we want to experience. Maybe we want to experience abundance and joy. So that's what we're here for. I also believe that we have, our souls originate from places that kind of determine who we are at a soul level, and that has an influence on who we are as a human. So there's that part of it. And I think that it is very confusing, because I think that there's two things that are concrete. One is that you could ask 10 people and you'll get 10 different stories on how this works, and none of them are wrong.
Right.
And two, the only way you're going to know for sure is when you leave this plane and get back over to the other side.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, that's the bottom line of it, right? Like,
it literally is one of those things that, does it resonate with you?
Right, exactly. But I so cringe when I hear this, oh, well, you need to learn this lesson and you're just going to keep repeating this until you learn the lesson. I just don't buy that. I mean, I don't think that's a divine plan. I think that's a human foible. I think that's a product of free will.
Yes, and that's probably where I misspoke. The traumas that I've experienced are because of the choices that my free will made. Like, I was set fine, and my guides were telling me, hey, don't marry that guy or whatever, And I was like, oh no, I know what I'm doing. I got it. Crazy voices. And that's when the trauma happened. And then again, I knew what I was doing, and I wasn't listening to my intuition, like you were saying, Angie. And
then I got
traumatized again.
I ask people when I work with them, how often do you say I should have went with my first instinct? I
Right.
used to say it all the time
Yeah.
when I was younger.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
now I never say it anymore.
No, I don't either. I always
No,
tune
because I go
in.
with my first
Right.
instinct. But
Same.
that is not because somebody is telling me what to do. It's because I am reading the energy of what's in front of
Right.
me and I follow in alignment with what it is that I'm meant to do. Like, I'm
Mhm.
just reluctant to give up all my power to God or the angels or the
Right.
guides. I believe they're here to guide me and to
Yes.
illuminate things, but they're
Right.
not here to tell me what to do. And I think the only plan that's here for me is my own.
Right.
Hmm.
Which kind of gets rid of the need for a religion to tell you what to do.
Well,
Everyone
I
needs to
mean,
listen to
I
their own,
haven't, I
you
didn't
know?
need religion when I was 8. Like, why would I
Right.
need it now? I knew it was a
Well,
bunch
some
of
people
shit when
feel
I was
like they
8.
do.
Mhm.
Some
Well, that,
people give
you know
all
what
their
though?
power
There,
away
I
and
mean,
say
but
any
there,
religion.
all right. So there are people. I mean, it's really amazing how many of those really well off uh,
Mhm.
actors are part of that Scientology religion.
Oh
But
my
I don't even want
goodness.
to talk about that.
Whew.
Um, I don't know. Like, I know people who are religious, who go to church, and who live beautiful, wonderful, connected
Mhm.
lives, connected with other people. They live in service, and they don't really buy into all that fear conscious shenanigans.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Right. That's
Then
yep.
I know of other people who are like, I can't even talk to you
Mhm.
because I don't understand how you can, like, oh, well, it's a sin. This is a sin. It's a sin. It's a sin. Shut up.
Mhm.
Like, anyway,
Right.
it we have to be careful when we get into the conversation about religion when I'm around because my views are very, and you would think that I'm an atheist or an agnostic, right? Based on how I feel about religion, but I'm not
Mm-mm.
because I know. Not only do I know that there is something on the other side, I am aware of Jesus and have had
Mhm.
conversations and Ganesh and, you know, Kuan Yin and all of
Mhm.
those people. I've,
Right.
connected with the energies of all of them. So,
Right. Not being religious doesn't mean, I mean, yeah, I acknowledge their existence and their work and all of that, but I don't put my trust in them for my salvation.
oh God,
I
well,
don't
yeah, I don't know
give
why
my
that,
power to
yeah.
them.
I mean, but this is why I love the concept of mystery schools, right? Mystery schools are the teaching of a religion or of I guess a dogma without the organization.
Mm,
It's
Hmm.
mhm.
just the teaching. If you take the teaching of the Christian religion, let's say,
Yep.
without the organization, there are beautiful stories. Although, I mean, I've been hearing some things about things that are in the Bible that are like, oh,
Oh, and I will
really?
confirm all of
Oh,
those
yeah.
things.
Yeah,
Oh,
right.
yeah.
Like,
And
oh,
it's not
really?
complete. It's completely incomplete.
Well, I mean, I actually think I heard that this is like, I mean, most people use the King James version, right? Like,
Not anymore.
Mm-mm.
no, what is it now?
NIV.
Mhm.
So that means the word
Well, it
of God.
depends on which religion. If
It
you're
Well,
just
Southern
yeah.
Baptist,
so
it's
that's
New
what I'm
King
going to say.
James.
Like, so,
Oh,
so the
that's
word
true.
of, so this channeled word can be rewritten. And I would
Right.
remind you that anytime you have a channeled work, it's channeled through a human brain, through an
Right.
ego, and it's going
Yep.
to be colored with the filter of that person,
Right. Yes.
which people in that era lived in fear constantly, probably every freaking minute. But
Yep.
I digress. And not to mention, it's a conglomeration of stories, is it not?
Mhm. Well, and like the book of Matthew, the book of Mark, the book of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and
Matthew had
John.
nothing to do with that book.
But it's all they're all the same story. It's the same. It's
Oh,
literally the same stories told through Matthew, told through Mark, told through
oh, is
so
that so? It's like the perspective of these four.
exactly. And when I
Yeah.
was a kid, I was like, but each one has a little twist, a little like
Things in a different
and
order. Are things missing?
right.
Are things added?
Right. And certain religions like the Catholic Church, there's a passage in John that kind of supports what they teach, and it's like, well, then what about what Matthew, Mark, and Luke said? And it's just
Yeah,
like,
right. See. Here's the thing: when I was supposed to be reading that Bible, that thing stayed zipped up, and I was reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. So I'm just saying. So that's
I
enough.
was looking at the pictures.
Yeah, that's enough. Your Bible had pictures?
When I was a child, yeah, the
Yeah,
children's Bible.
kids
Oh
Bible
yeah, I
too.
never
Mhm.
had a kids one. I never had a kids one.
I had
Mostly, I
multiples.
looked forward to Sundays going to church because my dad would pick us up afterwards and take us to Big Jim's, the tavern.
Oh, I looked forward to it because
No,
of
that was
the
bad. That
donut in
caused
the hall
arguments
downstairs in the
in
basement.
my family. That
Or,
caused
or ham
arguments in my
buns.
family. But it was right next to Brown's Chicken, and I really dug Brown's Chicken. So there you go. Anyway, wow, I can't believe how fast the time goes. Like that's it, we're through.
I know. This was a good one though. There's a lot of really
Mhm.
funky paradoxes that.
I mean, there's so many, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
there's so many, and it's
Again,
I
I
We
just
think it
continued.
just comes to, yeah, but I think it comes down to our own individual experience and how we are living it, what resonates for each of us. It's not going to be the same for everyone.
right, and our willingness to allow each other to believe whatever it is that
Mhm.
that we believe,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yep.
because I believe what I believe, you're not going to convince me otherwise. I
Right.
will listen, and I am capable of changing my mind if I hear something that that can that can create that shift. But I don't expect you to change my mind any more than I
Right.
expect you to me to change your mind. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like,
Mhm.
but that doesn't make the conversations not valuable.
Mm-mm.
There's a lot to learn, and I'm here to tell you. So we've had listeners through the whole show.
Hi, listeners.
So please, if you haven't yet, reach up, reach down, whatever, over on YouTube
Mhm.
and hit that subscribe button. But there is a lot of good stuff in the prior shows. Pick a couple and listen to them. I've been listening to them for a month now, all different episodes. And man, the stuff we come up with is really, really, really good stuff. There's a lot of good channeled information in these shows. So take a look back and see if see if something resonates with you. What I have found, which is very interesting, is that all of us, when we if a subject comes up in another episode in a similar way, we all say the same thing. Like
So we're consistent.
whatever we said before, we pretty much say again.
That's good. I'm
And
glad
I
we're not
think
like all over the place.
no, right, me too. I think it's a really good. I think that means we're speaking from our hearts and we're
Yeah, and
speaking
there's a
from our
clarity
wisdom.
there. That's true. There's a clarity and a solidity.
Exactly. It's like, we enjoy these conversations, and they're important to us. So
Yeah.
I think it's good to look back at them from time to time and actually find out that we are, what is the word? Consistent. I like that word, consistent. So anyway, Cove and Tina, we're going to call you out because you listen always from the beginning to the end. Thank you so very much for being with us. We already
You're
know
welcome.
that you're subscribed. So,
Right.
but if you like us,
Everybody else.
yeah, right. John, I got to tell you that I listened to enough episodes now that you have some good ones. When I say please hit the subscribe button, and you say
Mhm.
things like, "Or we're going to come to your door," or stuff. I mean, you make me laugh every time. It's hilarious.
Good.
Anyway, thank you
I'm
all so
I'm
much.
glad. I'm honored.
Enjoy we enjoy talking about this and making it available for you to listen to. And we will see you next week when we talk about whatever we come up with between now and then. Anyway, John, Melanie, thank you so much. And
Yep.
we will see you all next week.